What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. It's been a little while for me. I've been on vacation, but I am back now, and we're going to be, talking about with the Winnipeg Jets a lot more here on the channel as the season approaches. Only another month of this very slow off-season, and today we're going to be talking about something that was really bugging me during my vacation, something that was driving me nuts, actually, and it was just a really bad take about Mark Scheifele and the Connor Hellebuyck situation right now, with both of them being UFAs with 1 year left on their contracts. Next season they will be UFAs, and just seeing so many people saying that if the Jets lose them for nothing, that it's okay. That is absolutely not okay. Last night I was reading Scott Billeck's article on this situation, talking about the Mark Scheifele, Connor Hellebuyck situation, and he made a lot of really good points. I'm not usually, a big Scott Billeck praiser or anything like that, but this article was fantastic. And one thing that he compared this Winnipeg Jets team to was another team, just not really that long ago, and it was that Columbus Blue Jackets team that had Artemi Panarin and Sergei Bobrovsky in the exact same situation as Mark Scheifele and Connor Hellebuyck, both players with 1 year left on their deals, but, probably not going to re-sign with the team. That year, they pushed themselves up to the 8th seed. They knocked out the Lightning in the first round, that really memorable thing. They swept them, but ultimately, they lost those guys for nothing. They could have gotten a ton of capital, but they didn't. They lost those guys to free agency. Those guys got paid, and that was the end of it. This Jets team is exactly the same in so many ways. I don't know how I didn't, connect the dots with this earlier, but what an incredible comparison. They're pretty much in the exact same situation, with the Jets probably looking at being the 7th or 8th seed in the West, and probably going to be out in the first or second round, right? If things just stay the way they are. But with Mark Scheifele and Connor Hellebuyck, those guys are big pieces. So if you move those guys out, you're probably not going to get the best players back. You're probably going to get a package of futures. You might get something like you did from the LA Kings with Gabe Vilardi, and you might get some, pieces that go along with it, but I don't think you're going to get that big star player back. I don't think that there's going to be any like 1-for-1 kind of things. Like it's, just for example, like a Mark Scheifele for like a Dylan Larkin type player. You're not going to get that. So I don't think that it makes sense to, think about yourselves as a contending team this year. If you start off the year absolutely ridiculously hot, if you keep these guys start of the year and they are absolutely lights out, they're going for it, this team looks like world beaters, then I get how you can justify it. But it is such a large risk, and especially in this market in Winnipeg. It's not like you can just go into free agency next year and say, okay, we're going to go pay this all-star and he's going to come to Winnipeg for the next 8 years. I don't know if this is news to anybody, but the Jets do not attract free agents. Free agents usually don't like to sign here. So the Jets need to get creative, right? And that goes back to the drafting and developing that they did very well, right at the beginning. It seems like they're getting better at it now, once again, with, guys like Brad Lambert, Rucker McGroarty, so many guys, right? But that is their main attraction for star players. That is how they get their star players. That is how Winnipeg operates, because they have to. But the other way that they do it is they make trades like they did for the Gabe Vilardi package, right? They got a lot, sending out Pierre-Luc Dubois over to LA. They brought in a very good player in Gabe Vilardi who's poised to break out this year if he can stay healthy. And I think that he's going to be very fun. Rasmus Kupari in there is a dart throw. Maybe he turns out to be an NHL player. Maybe he doesn't. And then, of course, you got Alex Iafallo, who's just a very good middle six guy, a lot like Andrew Kopp. We'll see how he pans out with Winnipeg. But that is how Winnipeg operates. That is how they have to operate. So if you think that losing a Vezina caliber player and a 40 goal scorer for nothing is okay, that you can just do that with as many roadblocks as Winnipeg has, you're insane. I'm sorry. I understand the argument that yes, you will need good players to win games. I totally get that. But right now, I don't think now is the time for Winnipeg to be winning games. I don't think it is. If you want to make a push, if there's a package out there that they can get, similar to the Pierre-Luc Dubois one for a Mark Scheifele or something like that, where they bring in roster players like Gabe Vilardi, like Rasmus Kupari, those kind of players, then fine, go for it. If those are pieces that can propel you in the future, absolutely, by all means. But you are one injury away from absolute disaster. If Mark Scheifele goes out and he tears his ACL, what are you going to do? You're screwed. You can't trade him. You're not going to get anything with him. Like playing during the season, he's not going to be able to play. So, you're probably not going to be anything. You're probably going to be in the lower ends of the NHL with the, shape of the roster. And same with Connor Hellebuyck. If he goes down, what are you going to do? Is it going to be Laurent Brossoit and Colin Delia? I don't think so. I don't think that that's going to take you to the promised land. I'm sorry to say. But this is just so dangerous. If those guys go to, game 1 of the season and they're just out there and they get hurt, then the Jets are in big, big trouble. So it is a massive risk. And I understand that this is a Jets team that's very stubborn. Management really wants this team to win. And I understand that. I understand the lust to win. I understand, wanting to make money. I understand all of that stuff. But I just don't think that this is the year to do it. I don't think that the Jets need to be doing this right now. I think that this should really be a retool year, and in a lot of ways it already is. But with Connor Hellebuyck and Mark Scheifele, I feel like you were just taking such a large, unnecessary risk for very minimal reward. Unless you absolutely go balls to the walls at the trade deadline and beef up the roster like as much as you can, then I don't know. But the Jets are totally cap strapped, as is every other team in the league right now. I don't know realistically how much the Jets could really bring in. I think they've already brought in their pieces, right? With Iafallo, with Kupari, with Velarde. But in that sense, you do lose a very, very good player in Pierre-Luc Dubois. So it's just such a complicated situation and not a very fun one for GM Kevin Cheveldayoff. But at the end of the day, this is all going to come down to management. Where is this team going? Are they going to push for the playoff spot like they've been trying to do for the last 4 to 5 years and get knocked out in the first round or not even make the playoffs at all? Or are they going to, kind of look at reality finally after 4 to 5 years of failing and decide, okay, you know what, it's time to move on from these guys. Once we get an appropriate, return back for these players, we're going to move them out and help the future where, Chaz Lucius, Rucker McGroarty, who else is there? Brad Lambert. Names go on. We've got so many good prospects, and you can just add to them with the returns from Mark Scheifele and Connor Hellebuyck. It would be so fruitful for the future if you can actually get something for those guys and not totally waste them. Because as I've said before, it is extremely hard for Winnipeg to acquire top-end talent, right? And that's a big issue with this team, especially when you're not a very good team. The last couple of years have not been good for Winnipeg. As image-wise or on the ice, it has not been good. So now, if you can go out there, really acquire good assets here from Mark Scheifele and Connor Hellebuyck, then you are sitting in a fantastic situation. I absolutely hate the idea that, oh, well, the Jets don't need to really have anything for these guys. They don't need to trade them or get any kind of value back for them because they've gotten their primes. They've gotten the primes out of these guys. That is such a stupid argument. Why would the Jets be happy with that? What have they done with those primes? Like, gone to the third round? Is that super, worth it? Third round 5 years ago? No, it's not. What are we doing here? If that's really what we're doing and we're saying, yeah, well, we got all the value out of them because they played really well in their primes, that is such an unbelievable argument. It's something I can totally see True North doing because, we've seen what they've done in the last couple of years. But that is just an awful argument, and, if you think that, I think you gotta, think a little harder here on the future of this team and, the reality of the situation that the Jets are in right now, because I just don't agree with that at all. I think that's a crazy opinion. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what you think. It matters what Jets management thinks. So we're going to see, what their hand is here in the next month or two and see what's going on with these guys. If they wait for a good return and they move Mark Scheifele and Connor Hellebuyck maybe around January, February, I'm totally fine with that. I just hope that they stay healthy. That is the biggest risk. If they go ahead and trade them and they kind of use this year as a retooling year, I'm totally fine with that as well. We will see what happens. I'm good with either, but under no circumstances should those guys walk for nothing. If they do, that is an organizational failure and a big problem for this Winnipeg Jets team going forward into the future, and probably sends them back a year out of, success, I'll say, right? Obviously, it's not a rebuild, but it probably pushes them back a year from being serious and probably lowers the expectations of them in the future. But that's enough for me here, guys. Leave a comment down below what you guys think the Winnipeg Jets should do with Mark Scheifele and Connor Hellebuyck, and your reasoning for it, whatever. I'd love to hear from you guys. Really happy to be back. Enjoyed my vacation, but I am really enjoying making videos again. I've got a few that are going to be going up this week that I hope you guys enjoy, and one big one coming in, the next 2 to 3 weeks that I think a lot of people will really enjoy. So I'll leave it at that. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great night, guys. Go Jets, go. Bye-bye.